Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire has called on the Royal St. Lucia Police Force to do more.
We don't want to preserve the island's reputation, and therefore we appear to be on autopilot, leaving things to chance. We seem to be taking a very scientific approach when it comes to politicians wanting to be re-elected into office and those who are in power wanting to maintain power. And you see the energy that is being displayed. You realize how enthusiastic those politicians are in terms of selling themselves to the electorate, selling their ideas, and especially in a very mischievous manner, spreading a lot of misinformation and disinformation.
In an impromptu press briefing on Friday morning, Dr. Hilaire reaffirmed the government's support for the police while urging citizens, civil society groups, and all who desire a safer St. Lucia to play their part in backing the efforts of the RSLPF.
The private sector is just too silent, and I know that I'm wasting my time speaking about the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture as if that organization does exist. I don't think they exist. And maybe they're just selfish, looking after the interest of their quote-unquote members.
So if we want the police to make your community safer, you too have a responsibility to support the police. It cannot be that when the police undertakes an operation, the community and certain elements in the community will want to chastise the police for undertaking operations. It cannot be when there are roadblocks. People are annoyed because they have to wait in traffic 5-10 minutes. You want a safer St. Lucia? You have a right to have a safer St. Lucia. You have a right to demand a safer St. Lucia. But you equally must accept you have a role to play, and that role is to support the police.
So they are all out to win power in this country, to maintain power in St. Lucia. But what about ensuring that the individuals, the people, the citizens of this country who must hand that power to you, how about ensuring their safety? And for me, from my vantage point, this is not paramount. And as I said yesterday, boldly at that, those who are in office, they really don't care about the citizens of this country. And if they care, they are not demonstrating this. They are not proving it to you. Because by now, we would have heard from the Prime Minister of the country.
Dr. Hilaire has also called on the populace to be more discerning with the content they consume regarding crime in St. Lucia, urging all to get their information from official sources.
But are we demonstrating as a country that we even want to fight crime?
There are people who are out there, shooting indiscriminately, taking the lives of individuals. It must stop. And the police, we are asking the police to do even more than what they've done before. And we know they've put in a lot of effort. But we require a very powerful statement from the police that they are going to take back the streets, they're going to take back the communities.
And what happens? What is happening right now? Campaigning. Protect the victory. Protect the victory. And the mood is what? Red. That is the mood. The mood is red. That's the priority. Let us make comparisons as to which political rallies are attracting the biggest crowds, whether it's SLP or UWP. That is what is en vogue. That is what is in style. That is what should be preoccupying our attention right now as a nation, when so many of our young men are being killed on our streets.
There are individuals out there that will post fake stories, fake pictures, make all different claims. Again, I ask the public to stay focused. The police will provide official information on who is arrested, who is charged, who they're looking for, and do not take it from persons who are bent on exploiting the situation that we are in now and we have been in for the last few years for other purposes. And I want to be very clear on that. Because there are people that are looking to exploit this, but that's not our focus today.
And now we have Dr. Ernest Hilaire as the acting Prime Minister.
We want a war against the merchants of death.
Let us not try to delude people into believing that the priority is economic growth. The government is doing such a fine job. The Prime Minister is doing such a fine job. He's about to give public sector workers a bonus of $500. What could happen to some of those public sector workers if we continue to allow the situation to just go on without it being tackled? One or two public sector workers might not be around to collect that $500 bonus.
It cannot be acceptable in this country that we as a public, we as a country, we're asking for a safer country. And some of us deliberately, knowing, encourage some individuals because they bring home $2 or $3. This government has done too much to provide alternatives to crime.
And so the island continues to record homicide after homicide. And there's no shortage of excuses so that the government will not take any kind of responsibility for what is happening at this time under its watch. And that's bold of the government. That is very bold of the authorities. That things are helter-skelter. Criminals are having their way. Criminals are determining when and how they will snuff out the lives of their opponents, or if you want to call them their enemies. And we are just merely observers. Whether it's the police, whether it's the National Security Minister, whether it is the Prime Minister, whether it is the Minister with responsibility for crime prevention, we are just observing what is happening.
Crime Prevention Minister Jeremiah Norbert has also urged law enforcement not to overlook those who harbor or assist criminal elements.
Aiding and abetting, anybody who is found to be involved in harboring, they too will be brought to face the full brunt of the law.
And that's the kind of statement I expected to have heard from the Prime Minister of St. Lucia and the National Security Minister, Mr. Philip J. Pierre.
In the absence of Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, who is on a week-long leave,
a couple addresses to the nation where your various government ministers would talk tough, because they talk tough to each other, their political opponents. They threaten their political opponents. They make up all kind of stories about their political opponents. And one would have expected by now that the government of the day, and the ministers, since they are in the seat of power, they would just cease campaigning for a bit and focus what is affecting the people of this country.
Our focus is to say, one, to St. Lucians, to be assured that we are doing everything we can as a government to support the police so they can fight crime. We want, two, to say to the police, you have our support. Do what has to be done. Thirdly, to say to the police also, you will get the resources you need once you ask for it. And fourthly, to say to communities and families, you too need to support the police and help us fight this scourge of crime that we're facing right now.
with the nation reeling from the recent bloodshed, government leaders urge nationwide unity, community vigilance, and tougher resolve from law enforcement.
And I dare you to accuse me of hyperbole or exaggeration. That's no exaggeration.